Welcome to Zero's Game Room, where all things gaming takes place. Interviews, discussions, and the latest gaming news. So take a seat, get comfortable, adjust your headset, because it's game time. Here's your host, Zero.
Welcome to Zero's Game Room, the podcast where we talk about all of things gaming, and this is a little bit more of a breaking news episode that we are actually recording the night before that this goes up, because it's kind of a big deal. But before I jump into any of that, I have a co-host with me, not Sir Grayson Live, but a buddy of mine that I know in real life named Onpred. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Zero. You called me at the last minute. I was taking a shower, but you know what? I just got out and I just had to be on just for you, man.
Dude, I appreciate this so much because this is some kind of big news we got going on here.
Last minute stuff they just released, at least when we're talking about 2 hours ago, so everything's going crazy, a lot of speculations, and we have so much to talk about. It's just such a little time, so I just can't wait for this, man.
Okay, so basically, this, for the longest time, there have been some rumors going around about the next, well, we knew for a fact that the next Pokemon game was going to be on the Switch. That we knew.
That we did.
But what we didn't know is that on May 29th, the info would be dropped about what the Pokemon game would be. And Pokemon games, it's not like colors, it's Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Pokemon Let's Go Eevee. What? By the way, set to be released on November 16th of this year, 2018. Wow, okay, so Onpred, buddy, what was your first, like, once you saw this trailer?
Buddy,
give us some facts. I mean, there's a website. There's some facts. Let's lay down the groundwork for people, and then we'll give our opinions.
Exactly. So again, when I first saw this, I was freaking out because, you know, the Sun and Moon came out, there was a remastered edition, and then everybody's getting hyped up, and then you saw the tweets from Japan, from Pokemon Japan, and they're like, hey, this is Pikachu and this is Eevee, so you know something big was coming out. And so just recently, they gave out the trailer. The game's going to be $60 because when you go to the website for the Japanese version, the yen, it's exact same thing, $60. So this is going to be a $60 game. So it's either going to be Pikachu you're going to get or Eevee, or if you get both for $120. So
wow.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's going to be the exact same concept. Some Pokemon are going to be exclusive to Pikachu, and some Pokemon are going to be exclusive to Eevee. A lot of familiar faces. One of the biggest things that you see is Professor Oak and a lot of Generation 1 Pokemon. And me and Zero went through the whole trailer, going back and forth, frame by frame, to make sure that there's nothing missing.
Like, we were not missing anything. There was a moment, because, see, the thing is, as of right now, it's kind of only confirmed. Not necessarily confirmed, but what we've seen in game is Gen 1 Pokemon. Now, here's the thing about Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. It's kind of like a little bit of an expansion, I think, to the whole Pokemon Go franchise, because that started up and that blew up last summer. Everybody was playing it, and I feel like this is a bigger, more worldly adaptation, because what it boils down to, it's kind of like a remake of a remake, because we had Pokemon Red and Blue, then we got Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green for the Game Boy Advance, and now we're getting this, and it's basically Gen 1. You're going to be going through Kanto again, but the mechanics are completely different. You're going to start off with Pikachu or Eevee, but when you go out to find Pokemon to catch, you're going to that Pokemon Go style where you're just throwing a Pokeball. You're not weakening this thing to catch it. And that's kind of something we want to bring up really quick, because as we've stated, we've only really seen Gen 1 Pokemon, but from what other parts of the video we've seen, you can actually transfer your Pokemon from your mobile device of Pokemon Go into this game. So that's something I really wanted to clarify before we move forward about Generation 1 Pokemon. So I don't know if you can find Gen 2 Pokemon or 3, but I do know you can at least transfer the ones from your mobile device into the Switch version.
And they haven't confirmed yet that you could. This is just us speculating.
Oh yeah, this is all speculation that they've shown us.
Exactly. So maybe that might say, hey, you can only do Generation 1, and if you try to do any other generations,
it might not let you.
I think it might not let you, because, again, they still got to create the models and all the Pokemon movesets.
Right.
So,
it might be an update.
So maybe, yeah, we don't know. We don't know yet. And that's what I'm really excited. So it's your traditional Pokemon with Pokemon Go, and I think that's the biggest thing that's just out of this world. It's a lot of the Pokemon Go elements. And I'm not sure if this is okay with you, because I like traditional games. I like the
Me
Pearl.
too.
I like the Diamond. I like the traditional wake the Pokemon, then capture it. Not, hey, just throw a Pokeball. And even one of the things that you said too was that you can actually see the Pokemon. There's no repel in this game.
There's no repels. And to some people, will that be like, well, maybe I don't want to use repels, but that's kind of part of the Pokemon experience. The hunt, going out to find the Pokemon.
Being afraid.
Being afraid. It's like, oh my gosh, where is it? As opposed to this, you see the character, he sees the Psyduck and you walk into it, kind of like in real Pokemon Go on your mobile app. But I was expecting a full-fledged turn-based Pokemon game. Now, that's not to say there aren't battles. That's one thing the mobile device doesn't have. It has, like actual not wild Pokemon, but like trainer battles. That it does have. But like, the gameplay is not traditional by any means. It's only traditional by the Pokemon Go standards. But to combat that, there is some multiplayer in this game, which I don't really know how to feel about the multiplayer. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's a totally new concept. And I think, at least for me, man, Zero, at least for me, I think this is a good direction. I think this might just be a side Pokemon game, just like Pokemon Stadium. I think this is just one of the things that they're saying, hey, here's something to keep you satisfied. But the Pokemon Go, my bad. The Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee multiplayer, it's kind of weird. So the way you can play your character is only with one Joy-Con. So you can do all your movements.
That was weird.
So you can do everything you can access is through one Joy-Con. And the reason why they have that is so if you have another person that wants to play, they can with the other Joy-Con. And it's so weird because I'm so used to myself and this is my individual journey. But when you have another character, another person, it's just...
It's weird to have two people. Like, Pokemon is not a cooperative game. The only thing you get to close to cooperative gaming is like during post game when you can go to like the battle tower and that post game stuff, and you can take a buddy with you and go through that. But other than that, cooperative play, like, and both characters are on the same screen at the same time, and both of you are trying to catch the Pokemon at the same time, which...
It's weird.
It's weird. And here's the thing. Weird doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means it's different and it's not what we're used to by any sense of the means. And like when like, let's say you two are playing and you go into a Pokemon battle and you start up this whole Pokemon Go thing. Player 1 and player 2 have their own like little menu. And like on the top of the menu, it says like get ready, which is like, I guess you throw a ball. You have items. You have help, which
is exclusive to the player 1 side.
Right, that is true. Player 2 only has get ready and items. As opposed to player 1, they have help, which is like, I don't know, maybe like what you need to do. I
don't know.
A glossary, maybe a Pokedex. I really don't know why you'd need help. And run away, assuming you don't want to catch this thing.
I think they're going through like the Sonic mentality, like, hey, player 1's going to be the main thing, but if a player 2 wants to come along, there's going to be no negative side effects except for maybe throwing the Pokeball. And that's another thing, I'm not sure if the Pokeballs are limited or not.
Oh yeah, like, do you have to buy more or how do you get more? Because in Pokemon Go you just use the little Pokestops and whatnot.
You can either buy them or go to the Pokestops. I think for this way, I think the only negative side to having a player 2 is that if they keep missing, so if you have a little brother or sister and they keep missing, then you're like, they're using my Pokeballs. But at this point, it just seems like they haven't released that yet on how the items are going to work.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good concept. It's like the Tales of Sonic. You're going to have Tails. He can do everything that he can, but there's no downside for having a player 2.
Right. But
maybe
I do
your
also,
experience.
Yeah, maybe that too. But I do want to say it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because like, while, yeah, you might have a little brother that's like really crappy and wasting your items, maybe the game might be too easy. Because now both of you, because we don't know, from what it seemed, like both of you guys can throw the Pokeball at the same time. So do you get like a higher catch rate if you guys like time it correctly? Or
maybe. Or
I don't know.
I think maybe they have that as a way to say, hey, it's encouraged for you to throw at the exact same time or maybe hit in the exact same circle.
Maybe.
But I think that's just like, hey, there's going to be 2 players trying to capture the same Pokemon. You might as well just make it an extra bonus. I think that's just one of the plus sides rather than well, what's the point of us playing together if we're not going to do anything special? So I think that's what they're trying to go with that.
Yeah, I would agree. Another thing on the 2-player thing is double battles. Like, we saw that when 2 trainers walked up to 1 trainer, you and your player 2 send out a Pokemon while your opponent only had 1. Now, granted, that trainer, because again, we went frame by frame here, that trainer only had 1 Pokemon. So to me, that felt unfair. That's like, wait, that's not fair. He only
like
had
a 2
1
for
Pokemon.
1.
Yeah, that's not fair at all. That's another thing that makes this game seem too easy. And I'm trying not to say, like, see, here's the thing. If you haven't picked up by 10 minutes into this episode by now, I'm not the biggest fan about this thing. I've already tweeted about it. I am hating it. Honestly, I'm kind of glad that OnPred is here, not only because I have somebody to talk to this about, but if it wasn't, this would sound like a hate speech towards it. I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, the friends thing, you can take a player with you, that's cool. It connects with Pokemon Go, so that's pretty cool. And there's other things that seem kind of cool, but this is not what I was expecting. So I'm trying to be as level-headed as possible right now. So I'm hoping as the game progresses, trainers will have more Pokemon, so then it'll always be a double battle. But again, that kind of like throws the question of like, is this gonna make it too easy? Is it gonna make it too, like, how is this going to be balanced at all? And what if your friend just decides to be like, I don't want to play anymore. You continue. So does the Pokemon, like, are they borrowing one of your Pokemon, or like?
I think that's the idea.
Right? Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It has to be that way. Otherwise, it'd get way too complicated.
And that's an interesting thing too that you mentioned, because it's a double battle when there's 2 players. So, and again, the first trainer that we saw the battles with, it was just the beginning area. There was just 1 Pokemon. But does that mean when it's not 2 players, is it just 1-on-1? And then the moment a second player joins, is it 2-on-2?
Oh,
I think
that's
a
true.
good concept.
We don't know. Yeah,
we don't know yet. I think that's the fun part. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
And Zero, I'm willing to do this. I'm gonna pay for this. I already have my hands.
Oh yeah, you do have the Switch. Oh, you have the Switch, so we could totally do this, and we could literally, if you get this, we could literally kind of play it a little bit and kind of do back to this video or back to this podcast episode type of thing. Where it's like,
I will make you eat your words, because you're not giving this game a chance. You're not giving this game a chance, and I think it does.
I'm really not. I appreciate you being here and putting up with my sassiness, man. Because like,
you're so sassy.
I'm just gonna get it all off my chest, man. It's a remake. The dumb Pokemon Go mechanics are back. No wild battles as of now that we know. Double battles. You can see the Pokemon you're gonna encounter. Oh my god, what is this game doing? I feel like it's just a quick cash grab, man. Now, granted,
no,
it might not be.
I think there's so much more to this. I think maybe this was just more of like, hey, this is what the first and second player things are. I think this is just more of the beginning of the features of this game, not the hardcore mechanics. But speaking of mechanics, there's actually a new peripheral device that they offer.
And let me like vent real quick about this. I don't like it. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. Go for it. Talk about this new peripheral, which costs extra. It doesn't come with it. As of right now, we don't know if they might later on package it. But go ahead.
So yeah,
do what you must, Pred. Do what you must.
Thank you, Zero. I'm gonna tell you as much as I know. So right now, there's a Pokemon ball. It's just like a peripheral. It works just like a Joy-Con. I'm assuming there's gonna be Bluetooth with it, just like how the Joy-Cons connect to the Switch. But there's a thing called the Pokeball, and it fits in your hand. It's really small, and it's kind of like a Joy-Con, to where you can move, you can access the menus, just like the Joy-Con. So you don't always need your Joy-Con. If you want to use your Pokeball, just like the Pokemon Go Plus, it works the exact same way, but I believe the battery life is different.
Yeah,
and it costs
for
$40.
Anybody who doesn't know, the Pokemon Go Plus was that wristband thing that came out like way later in Pokemon Go's lifespan. So in other words, this peripheral that's a Pokeball, which honestly, we saw what it looks like, and it literally fits in a child's hand. Like,
yeah, I think that's one of the biggest negatives for me, because again, I'm a big dude. I got gorilla hands, man. gorilla hands. Like, this Switch is small in my hands. And so I think the Pokeball is just for kids to be hyped about it. And I understand this is a kid-friendly game, but I think that's one of the negative things about it, at least for me, that it's really small. But the reason why it's so small It has 3 hours battery life, which also makes the noises and the vibrations. Whenever you capture a Pokemon on the Switch, it transfers to the Pokeball. So like whenever you want to play with it or whatever, it'll make noises and vibrations, just like you said earlier, like when we talked beforehand. It's kind of like the Gold and Silver version of
yeah, in Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, when those were remade, we actually received a peripheral known as the Pokewalker. Now here's the thing about the Pokewalker. It was useful and cool because not only could you transfer a Pokemon through infrared into the little Pokewalker thing, it not only encouraged people to take steps because steps equated to EXP for your Pokemon, but you could also have little battles there too, and you could catch wild Pokemon in the little Pokewalker, and you can get items. And it was, granted, you can only catch like 3 Pokemon at a time, and maybe that was the groundworks of making this peripheral, but it seemed useful. This just seems, I have a ball and I put a Pokemon in here. Here, let me shake it so you can tell what Pokemon's in here. La-di-da-di-da.
I think this is just getting into the Pokemon aesthetics. I think this is just Pokemon outing, and we don't know any more features, but I think this is just like, hey, if you want to go all out on this game, you can by just getting the Pokeball. I feel like that's what this is.
I feel what they're trying to do with this is get the kids that full 100% feeling of being in the Pokemon world, because that's kind of what Pokemon Go started to do. But here's some things about Pokemon Go that were never fulfilled. Like in the trailers of Pokemon Go when it was first released, people thought you were going to be able to trade. You can't trade. You can't battle. You can do
that's right.
Granted, things have been redefined to where there's gyms, and even then the battle system in Pokemon Go, the app, is atrocious, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say is they're trying to give people that 100%. Because if you were a trainer, you'd be going out and you'd be throwing a ball with like the Joy-Con, you'd be trading with potentially your mobile app, and you'd be in this, you'd see the Pokemon. If you were a real trainer, you wouldn't just randomly find a Pokemon, you'd black out, and then you open your eyes and you're fighting a Pokemon. No, you'd see the Pokemon you're approaching. So I think that's the approach they're trying to go for, but I think this is not the next Pokemon game I was hoping to see. I was hoping for like Gen 8 with some crazy stuff, but this, I will agree with you and say I feel like this is just enough to quench the thirst of the fans.
Yes, I completely agree. I think this is just something, it's just a side piece, man.
It's just a side piece. It ain't the main, it's a side piece.
Yeah, this is just to entertain you for a little while. And I think that's what this is. Just to entertain you for a little while. People wanted a Pokemon game right now on the Switch. What are you doing? And then they're like, hey man, this is what we got.
We're going to give you a thing. Now, I will say this will please some people. Some people still play Pokemon Go, believe it or not. I was one of the people who played it, but some people still enjoy it. And I think there is some joy you can get out of this. One, the game does look pretty. I'll give it that.
Yes.
It looks pretty.
Yes, it does.
And it's original Pokemon. It's Fire Red, Leaf Green, so you're still going to see Pokemarts and the Poke Centers. You're still going to depending on who you choose, Pikachu or Eevee, they like ride on your head. At least that's what I saw. I don't know if you could do that with any other Pokemon. I doubt it, because that would take a lot of time and effort to have a Mewtwo on top of your head.
That'd be so cool, though.
Yeah, they would. Team Rocket is in there. We saw, again,
yeah.
We're not kidding when we said we went frame by frame with this. We saw glimpses of Team Rocket. You're able to ride Pokemon, and Onpred has a little bit of a request of himself for the last thing that he's wanting to see.
Before we do, I want to go back to that Team Rocket.
Go for it.
Because remember the Pokemon Go app, you have a chance to choose the 3 main factions.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Would that play a factor? Would that mean, would your clothes be on the side be red, blue, or yellow? So I don't know if that's also an interesting factor.
That is interesting to point out, yeah, because we haven't really talked about the factions playing a role. If they play a role, we don't know that yet. For all we know, there's only maybe a couple of goodies that you can do with the mobile device with the Switch. Maybe it's not fully compatible. Maybe there's just some things you can do with it.
Maybe once you beat the whole game, I think maybe they might be able to fight you, or maybe Nintendo might be like, hey, thank you for completing the game. Thank you for maybe beating the Elite Four. But here's the 3 trainers that you know and love in the beginning of your Pokemon Go experience, and they're hard as all hell.
That would be really cool. I would give it cool points for that. Honestly, I would give it some credit there. Now, like I will say, I kind of want to wrap this up because otherwise we'll be here for like another 20 minutes. But there's a lot to see. A lot we still don't know about this game.
Are missing no. We don't know if he's in there. We don't even know he's there. I wish, probably not, but that'd be so funny if they
that'd
made
be
a
so
reference
funny,
to that.
and I would give it brownie points for that because it's like, wow, you're actually appealing to the older generation who this should probably. Now, I will say it does seem a little more kid friendly than it would to adults, but there's still a lot we don't know about this thing. There's still a lot of things we need to find out about this. Will it be amazing? I'm still on the fence. Unless OnPred can change my mind somehow.
I think this game is going to be a good addition to the library.
Oh.
They have the
now finish
visuals
up your thought and I'll finish up my thought because there's two like other things I need to bring up real quick.
Oh, okay, my bad. I think it's visually like Sun and Moon. I think it's going to be a great game. I think there's going to be so much more that's going to be offered that we never thought we could have had on this previous game. And plus, because there's a 2-player mode and so much that the Switch can offer before the other consoles can do, I think they're just going to give us more goodies on top of more goodies. That's all I'm going to say. Please bring back Missing No. That's all I want to say.
The last two things I want to bring up are with Pikachu and Eevee, you can like switch up their costumes, and that was kind of cute. I think that's kind of cool. You know, customize your Pikachu how you like. I like that. And the last thing, which was actually also the last part of the trailer, it ends with it saying, "You'll meet a special friend." I don't know how you access this special friend at the end of the trailer, but it seems it has something to do with the connectivity of the mobile device and the Switch version of this. What is it? Could it be maybe a special new Pokemon? Maybe it's a way to tease the upcoming Gen 8? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just legendary. We don't. Maybe it's Mew, for all we know.
Maybe.
Because you know how back in the day and with Red, Blue, and Yellow, there was no real definitive way to get Mew unless you went to like a Toys R Us or something?
Yeah.
So we don't know. But I'm not holding my breath on this and saying it's amazing, but OnPred might change my mind. If he gets this for the Switch and I experience it with him, I might learn to love it. We don't know yet.
OnPred will do just that. Trust me, guys.
But that's all we really want to say about this. Please let us know. I always leave all the links to everything in the description below. And of course, OnPred, thank you for being on the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me, man.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Zero's Game Room. Want to give a special thanks to my graphics designer at Trekit on Twitter and at David_Ritter for voicing my intro. Keep up to date with the podcast by liking it on Facebook at Zero's Gaming Room and on Twitter at Zero's Game Room. Until next time, GG with a definite re.